And so the loser is going to be the American public. And we know that's going to happen because it happened in England and Canada and other places that have those kind of programs. In fact, many of those people who left those kind of programs came to the United States because of the system that they had. I know maybe next time, this coming time, if they do pass that legislation, maybe they'll be going to India and Mexico and places like that that has medical freedom, so to speak. But it's a dreadful bill. What are the highlights and some of the other things that you read in the letter?
Let's see. Remember what happened when Clinton wanted an Anti-Terrorist Act? He gave us Oklahoma City and Timothy McVeigh. Remember when Bush wanted the Patriot Act? He gave us 9/11 and later shoved the bailout bill down our throats with threats of a total collapse only just a year ago. Now we have Obama, and he wants a heavy-handed federal government in finance and regulations and the manufacturing industry as well as the health care. What kind of a crisis do you believe Obama will give us to push his Orwellian agendas through?
Well, it's hard to say, but there's a good chance there will be an event. And, of course, the president doesn't usually plan it. It's planned by other people from behind the scenes. And there could be an event. It all depends on how things work out. And what they're doing is they're trying to bring the world economy to its knees on their terms. And what they're running into is an informed world public, not only in America. And it's because of programs like this on the air and many others that are beaming all over the world, and, of course, the Internet as well. And at the Bilderberger meeting in Greece in June, the two things that they talked about was, in a big way, was the people are finding out what we're doing, and maybe we should cut this thing off at the pass and try it later. What the final decision of these world makers or king makers was, we don't know. And the other thing they talked about is letting the dollar fall, and it's happening. And we predicted the fall in the dollar on May the 15th, and we've been right on again, and it's going lower. And it'll go down to 71.18. As I said, it's around 78. And that could happen before the end of October, and that's why you don't want to be in U.S. dollar-denominated investments. You're better off in gold and silver as an investment hedge.
Mr. Chapman, on page 58 of the massive health care bill, in the provision before the government, that the government's going to have access to our bank accounts. Do you have any knowledge of that?
Yes, I've heard the same thing, and I published a list. Either was in the last issue, what's going out on Saturday, a list of all of these tricky little things that they've stuffed in there, and that is one of them. And so we'll have to wait and see. We have to wait and see if it even gets passed. I know that the congressmen are meeting tremendous opposition on that and cap and trade on their recess at home. And some of them are being shouted down, as you pointed out earlier, at town hall meetings and things like that. And they're arrogant enough to tell their own constituents, well, what do you know about anything? I've been doing this for years, and I know better what's better for you than you do. That's their attitude.
And that's not the attitude of what the Founding Fathers wanted to set up. They wanted a representative government for the people, by the people, to work for the benefit of all the people and their own constituents. And what I see, Mr. Chapman, is we've got a bunch of lunatics in Washington that as you say, arrogant. I guarantee you, not only are they arrogant, they have become totalitarian in their best light and fascists at their worst. I'm looking at the point that this health care bill, for instance, is a mass genocide when I'm reading through here and I find places where even the AARP is hinting that the medical aid should be given to a 25-year-old because the 25-year-old is just beginning his life, and he needs the medical aid more than a 75-year-old. Mr. Chapman, there's something wrong with this picture.
Well, you're absolutely right. There is something wrong. And, you know, you saw the piece that I ran about Matt Letterman, who couldn't get help from the VA, and Joyce Riley has been ramrodding that, and we put that in the last issue to raise money for him, and finally, nobody in Congress would listen to him. He drove his tractor to Washington, and finally the VA took care of him, and he's got all sorts of maladies from the Gulf War. And finally, one of the senators arranged to have his tractor taken home, probably on a flatbed. But before that, one of the people who had heard of his plight offered to pay for that. But, you know, he's very typical of many, many other veterans who are not getting their services. And I know when I used to go to the VA, and all I went for was medical checkups, and it's part of what I could do. And when I found out, you know, during this invasion, occupation, and ongoing war in Iraq, how understaffed they were, I dropped my annual physical and said, give my spot to somebody else. And that was about 6 years ago, I think, maybe 7. So 6.5 years ago. And so since then, they've never had enough money to do what they do. I mean, some people have been waiting for disability for 15 years. I mean, it's unbelievable. You know, they expect us to go out and risk our lives for their economic interests, as it turns out, and then they don't want to help us and take care of us, you know, when something happens to us. It's just plain wrong.
Mr. Chapman, I'm going to chime in and agree with you because I know for every Marine or every Army personnel out there that gets aid, there's 1,000 other ones that are denied aid. I have a Marine that I know personally that's drawing a check of $2,700 a month after serving only 22 months in the Marine Corps. Of that 22 months, he served 13 in Vietnam, and he walks around better than more than 90% of the Marines that I see in the VA, and yet he draws a check of $2,700. And there are Marines over at the VA that are literally sitting on the steps because they got no place to go. They're homeless, and they want some care. And these guys have been served in the Corps for 4 and 5 years, 6 years, 8 years, and some of them served 3 tours in Afghanistan and Iraq. And I talked to one just the other day. He's not getting a dime from nobody. He served in Gulf War I, came in and served in the Gulf War II, has served 2 tours in Afghanistan, has 16 years of service, and was discharged from the Marine Corps medically unfit to remain in the Corps. And all he gets is his disability, which is not even a third of what he was making as a master sergeant in the Corps. He's upset. And I understand exactly what you said. I don't go to the VA because I'm healthy enough to not to, but I get bent out of shape that we've got a lot of people out there that just don't care about the military putting their lives on the line for them. They think that we're here as slaves.
Well, that what you're talking about is very widespread, and they're dumping people as fast as they can that, you know, are coming up for pension time and, you know, 20, 22 years, whatever. And anybody that doesn't fit in, they're getting rid of them. And they get nothing. You know, 16, 18 years, 19 years, they get nothing.
I've only got about 30 seconds. Can you give out your phone number, contact, and Larissa, play Mr. Chapman's commercial for us as he goes off, please.
Yeah, that's the internationalforecaster.com, the international, FORECASTER.com, or toll-free 800-375-4188. That's 800-375-4188, and you get a free introductory copy, whether by email or in hard copy.
And I appreciate it, Mr. Chapman, and we'll see you next week. God bless. Ladies and gentlemen, we'll be back in 5 minutes. Mr. Chapman, my respect to your wife. Y'all have a great time where you've moved to, and I pray everything is safe.
Thank you very much, and I'll be back. Bye-bye.
God bless.